Hi everyone. Hello. Hi Cynthia. Oh, so glad you could make it. You know, I'm so grateful that you hung in there with me because I'm a little bit late tonight. This Kid X, thank you for joining me. I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I am an award-winning author, a speaker, and a coach who helps women write the next act of their lives. And I just have a question for you. Are you ready for the next chapter? Oh, good. Thank you for coming. Okay, so I'm going to flip this. Hi there. Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I help women look at their lives and design the next chapter. And you know, I've done it for myself. I've done it for other people. And I have some important information for you tonight. Oh, yay. I'm so glad Dancing Crane is back in the house, my dear. I'm so glad you're here. So, Kimberly, Cynthia, and what is your first name? This kid's, I love knowing people's first names so that I can, if that's okay to ask you. I love being able to, I was in the hospital for a few days. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Wow, how are you doing? Kimberly, are you okay? I hope. Grace has joined us. So I have some great information for you tonight, and I got inspired by one of the Periscopers here on Periscope, Michael Cinquino. And he usually broadcasts in the morning, but if you have an opportunity to follow him, he really has some great information for people. You had an allergic reaction to medication. Wow. You know, I've had an allergic reaction to something and it's not fun and it's a little scary. I'm glad you're better now. L. Roger 87, thank you for joining us. And so tonight I titled Fear is Not, Nothing is Failure. Fear is not failure. Nothing is failure. And we're going to learn about this, and we're going to learn how important this is in your life to reframe things. We're going to talk about it. Kim Cook is in the house. Thank you for joining us. Yay. So again, I'm an award-winning author. I'm so proud of it because all of my books have been meaningful to me in the way that they have been what I consider my legacy. My story has become something that I have chosen to share because I feel that I can help people maybe understand their own lives just a little bit better. And the fact that we all go through difficult times and we all have experiences that we can look at and say, wow, you know, where did that come from? What happened? You know, is it going to prevent me from leading a happy life for the rest of my life? And you know what? You are only going to have to think for a second why you fell upon this broadcast, because this is going to be meaningful for you, I promise. So at this moment, I was just thinking that I had a choice. I am proud for you too. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Grace. I appreciate that. I was thinking that I have a choice, and so do you. Do you want this next year to mirror the year that you've had in the past, or the previous year before that, or the year before that? Or do you want this year, the year that you get to decide what your next act looks like? Who wants to join me on this? I see hearts coming up. I have 84,000 hearts, I think, right now, thanks to you. Oh, those are pretty. Those sort of orangey amber ones and the periwinkle blue. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And you know what? If you think that this broadcast might be helpful to some people, I'm in, as you know. Yes, thank you. If you think this broadcast might be helpful to some people who have experienced tough times, I hope that you consider sharing it. Because you know what? Briefly, I want to, for those of you who have just joined me for the first time, if you're new, I have experienced a lot of life challenges, and I can tell you that they weren't always easy. The first experience that I had was that really rocked my world as I gave birth to a daughter who had a severe facial cleft, and she was had a very deformed face, and thank God for modern surgery, because today she's absolutely beautiful. But it doesn't always turn out that way for other people. And I'm so blessed. And then several years after that, I experienced the worst that could happen. I lost a child. I lost my beautiful 16-year-old boy to a disease that went undiagnosed. He woke up with a fever, and he was dead the next morning of bacterial meningitis. And I can tell you that it changed my life and my perspective forever. And at the time that it happened, I didn't think that I would ever survive. And what I can tell you is that I did, and I created a life for myself that I'm very, very proud of. And thank you for those of you that just joined me. So again, you'll only have to think for a second while you're on this broadcast, because we have all experienced feelings of failure. The title of the Periscope tonight, Nothing is Failure. So at this moment, when I ask you, do you want this year to mirror last year? Did you have moments of failure? Oh, thank you, Grace. I appreciate that. I appreciate your compassion. Did you have moments last year that you wished you could have just waved away? I had a lot of failures last year. I had a lot of business failures. I had some successes, but in my brain, I started only registering the failures, and it started bringing me down. I had some personal failures. Throughout my lifetime, I've had failures. And at the time, I thought there's no way that I can survive these failures and make something of it. I felt like failures meant lost. I lost an opportunity, or I lost that experience to failure. And you know what I've learned is that every day we get to make a choice, and we get to pick up the magic wand and decide how we're going to view the day and how we're going to view our past. So every single day is a decision. Every day. Sahar 121680, how can you leave the past behind and move on? That's a really good question from a past mistake. Okay. I'm so glad that you asked that question, and I know that there are others that are wondering that too. Marriage of God has joined us. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I've been through some really tough times, and so have all of you. And what's important is that you look at the failures from a different perspective. And for example, when I lost my son, somehow my marriage tumbled. And I say somehow just to cover a big, broad compass. I could tell you exactly how it failed, but I don't want to get into that on this Periscope. It's another Periscope. But when a couple experiences the loss of a child, often the relationship that bore that child doesn't make it. But you have to take sure and active steps to keep it intact. And it didn't make it for me. And you know what? I considered that one of my biggest failures. And how could I leave that behind? Good question, and I'm so glad that you asked that. Trust your process. Don't judge yourself. Accept and ride the feelings through. Hang on. That's very good advice. And what you do is you start looking as you go down your path of life from a new perspective. Now, I want to read something really important to you, because this is all going to answer that question that you asked. Sahara 12, I can't quite remember what your handle is, but this is all going to come to that point, that important question. How do you move on? You don't have to move on. what you have to do is look at it from a new perspective. I am calling this my happy now year, being in the now. That's beautiful. And you know what? Have we all chosen our word for the year? Everybody's choosing a word. And my word was really important to me and still is. And every day I wake up with my word. Has everybody chosen a word? I hope so. My word is uplift. And I mean moment. Oh, Cynthia, my word is moment. That's beautiful. There are so many aspects to moment. Marriage of God, what's your word? Well, mine, I'm waiting for that. Mine is uplift. And I am not just talking about everyone else, because I believe that my writings in some way does offer to uplift others. Oh, Kimberly, love. Ours is expectancy. Beautiful. Expectancy. That leaves it open for so many opportunities to live with expectancy. That's beautiful. Well, and I'm living with uplift because I need to uplift myself as well as uplifting others. And that means not only to uplift and inspire, but to hold myself accountable. Uplift my standards. Uplift what I'm doing in life to the highest form of my personal expression, my spiritual expression. The gifts that I was given to fully express themselves in this year, 2016, to uplift. That's mine. And tonight's scope is one more chapter of my process of hoping to uplift and say something that might inspire you in one way or another. And I want to read this to you. The author of Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh, says, "You can only succeed. You cannot fail. Failure is impossible. It's an illusion. Nothing is a failure. Nothing. Everything moves the human story forward, and hence the process of evolution. Everything advances you on your journey." And so you see, that's why your question was so important, Sahar 1289, or what your numbers were, I'm not quite sure, is that you asked, how do you move on? You don't. You start looking at it from a different perspective. And this is one of the tools that I want to share with you that's also going to be in my 5-day writing challenge starting Monday. I'm so glad a lot of you are in, a lot of you are signed up for that challenge. It's the 5-day Emerging Writer Program. And I have so many things that I want to share with you because they're tools and tips that I've learned as a professional writer. I've published 4 books. 2 of them are award-winning. 1 of them went all the way to the Grammy ballot in 2009, I'm proud to say. And I worked with my husband for 25 years in his television and movie career, writing for television and movies. And what I've learned is the process of writing that so many people get stuck at. You know, everybody can tell a story. Everybody can share their life in a conversation. But how do you start the writing process? And that's what I'm going to share with you on my 5-day writing challenge. Absolutely free. It's on Periscope. What we're going to do, and oh, you know what I found out? It's bit.ly, bit.ly/emerging writer. But guess what? You have to capitalize the E and capitalize the W for it to work. And I didn't know that. So a lot of you tried to get on and couldn't until the E in emerging and the W in writing could be capitalized. And we have so many people joining us on this journey of writing because guess what? Your story is your legacy. And if you share your story, you're changing the world because there is someone out there waiting to hear exactly what your story is. And it's going to help them with their story. And so where do I live? I live in Southern California. And yes, that's it. bit.ly emerging writer, and be sure and capitalize the E and the W, and you can sign up for it. And because of spam laws, You have to enter your email, and then you have to get a confirmation, and then you're in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind you on, Friday and Sunday that it's coming up on Monday. Then you're going to get an email on Monday reminding you of the Periscope Challenge, and it's going to be 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday this next week, and I'm going to have tools that I'm going to email you, so you have worksheets and you have ideas and tools every day it's going to start you on your writing journey. And you know what? Your story is your most valuable asset, whether you want to be a writer or whether you're in sales or whether you're coaching or whether you are a speaker or a real estate agent, all of these things. Your story is your connection with other people. And don't ever discount what you've been through, because it all has value and purpose. And that's what I want to get back to, is that perspective is everything. So when I look at my timeline and I see all of the things that literally ushered me into the next part of my life, at the moment that they happened, I thought, I'll never survive. This is a failure in my life. The failure of my marriage was a huge failure. But guess what? It gave me a perspective on life that I never would have had. And I'm richer for it, and I know how to love harder, and I know how to be a better mom, a better friend, a better wife. How long did it take you to write your first book? Oh, that's an interesting question. My first book was called Rosie the Imperfect Angel, and it was written for my daughter. And because she was born with a birth defect, and I wanted a tool that I could take into the schools. And so I actually wrote it on bits of paper when I'd be in the school line waiting to pick up my two other children, my two sons, and or on backs of receipts, or on cards that I had in the car, or in the morning before they'd wake up. And it actually only took me about maybe 3 months. But I'll tell you the one that is most recent, the book called How to Survive the Worst That Can Happen. I'll show it to you. That's this one. How to Survive the Worst That Can Happen. And it's a parent's step-by-step guide for healing after the loss of a child. I am so proud of this book, because you know what it is? It's my son's legacy. Because I couldn't have had this book written without his loss. And I would trade it for anything if I could have him back. But that wasn't what happened. What happened is I lost my child. And I knew that my survival was important to document. And so I wrote in a journal every day through my grieving process. And what I learned from it was invaluable, because I got to watch my healing as an observer, not just a participant. And I learned that that tragic event had given me gifts that I didn't realize at the time. One of them was the power of the written word to heal. And another tool that I'm going to be sharing with you that helped me connect the dots on my life is something that I'm going to be sharing in our writing challenge. And this is a tool. I was certified 2 or 3 years ago as a certified grief recovery specialist with the Grief Recovery Institute in Los Angeles. And one of the tools that we use is a timeline. And I had also used this in my own life before I went through the program. So it was pretty cool. It was great validation. But this tool of the timeline is one of those things that gives you an opportunity to look at the different life events from different perspective. Thank you, Marriage of God. I appreciate that. And this is my timeline. I'm going to just show you real quickly. This is my timeline. And what this does is it gives you a perspective of your life. And we're going to start examining that timeline from a new and different way. And it's going to help you understand your story and write your story. Now, it's going to help you discover your meaning and purpose. It's going to help you connect the dots as to how everything came to this one moment in time on this day in 2016 that you are sitting here watching this Periscope and realizing that this is the first day of the next part of your life, if you let it. And by understanding that nothing is failure, gives you a new opportunity to look at all those things that you labeled as failures. They're not. They're pieces of the puzzle. I promise you, they are pieces of the puzzle. So you're going to realize that your life is actually a charted course. And you will be so proud of yourself once you make the realizations of your life and how they can, when you put them all together in a blog or a book or a story, that you are going to change people's lives, because someone out there needs your story. Someone does. You know, I didn't know what kind of impact my book would have on people's lives. And I get emails and letters every day about this book. And I had no idea the impact it would have. And I'm so proud of it. You know what? One of the things, I'm so proud that it's won 8 awards, the most recent being the Reader's Favorite 2015 Silver Award. And I am so excited because what that does is I get to share that with my son, knowing that in his death, I was able to find the words to help others live a quality of life for the rest of their lives, understanding that that one moment in time that felt tragic, or that one moment that you may have failed, or that one moment that your marriage died, or you had financial ruin, or that you tragically lost someone you loved. None of that is forever as far as the chains that it holds you to. You think you're going to feel that way forever. But I promise you, the more you write, the more you observe your life, the more you look at it, you'll see how it all fits together. That pain, I was just sitting with a friend today who also lost her son, and it's been 2 years for her, and it's been many more for me. And what I realized is that that pain, whether it's 2 years or 23 years, it's still there. And I get to access it whenever I want. Because you know what? Sometimes those tears feel so rich. They feel like incredible love that I had for my boy. And they had purpose. And I can access them whenever I want to. And so when you say, yes, cleansing. So when you, Sahar 1289, when you say, how do you move on? Don't think in those terms. You don't have to move on. You can access those feelings anytime you want. And if they're negative feelings, you're going to look at them from a new perspective. How can they help your life move forward? Kimberly in Kentucky joined. Move with. I like that, Cynthia. Can you tell Cynthia's a writer? Cynthia, I loved your blog yesterday. I was so incredibly proud of the honesty and the transparency that you put forth in that blog. And your beautiful, beautiful daisy tattoo. You're really something. Yeah, I'm proud of you. So make today the day that you move your story forward, because guess what? It is the next chapter. This year is iconic. This year is the year that you get to change things. And you know what? Last year was huge for me. And I want to share one more thing. I know I'm sort of going on here, but I want to share one more thing. Last year was huge for me. My daughter got married. One of the happiest days of my life. My son graduated from college. I put him through all by myself. Then my oldest son had a near-fatal accident. Oh, Cynthia, split your heart open for a couple of hours, but now, oh, you know what? That's what writing does. It does split your heart open so that you can see it, you can feel it, you can access it, you can write it. It's so important. So my son Trevor this year had a near-fatal accident. He was electrocuted on the job. He does lighting for television shows. He does like the Kardashians and Survivor, and his company provides the lighting for those shows. And he had a defective light that he was testing, and he nearly died. And I thought, my God, I could have lost another child, but I didn't. And yes, it's been tough. He's had a tough recovery. It split open his calf. It shattered his ankle. It screwed up his shoulder. I mean, he's really still recovering. But what I see is that it's shaped him. It's given him a new appreciation for life. And I'm so darn proud of him. And so when I looked at my timeline, and I thought, wow, there were things there that scared the living daylights out of me. And there were the joys of celebration of marriage and graduation. And there were the tough times too. That's what we're going to look at in your timeline, in our writing challenge. So again, the bit.ly, bit.ly/emerging writer, and be sure and put the capital E and the capital W. Sign up for it. We're going to do it together. We're going to have a great time looking at our lives and the purpose and the value that it might have for the future. And so I hope you'll join it. And yes, thank you. Thank you, Marriage of God. I'm so glad. So I'm going to be sending you that tool. It's right here. This tool is going to help you, the timeline. You're going to be amazed at what you see. And you know, at the very least, you'll start writing in a journal. At the very most, you're going to write your book, the book you've always said you wanted to write, or a blog. Each blog is a little mini book. You're going to find the value in that, and you're going to find it will change your life. I am so excited. And thank you. God bless you for all of these hearts. You have no idea what your presence does for me on these broadcasts. I've done maybe 55 or 60 of them now, maybe 55, 56, something like that. I am so grateful to have this opportunity to talk with you and to share my story and hear your story. It makes my life richer, and these hearts I celebrate every single time. Thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow. I was a little late today. It was a rainy day in Southern California. And my goodness, the traffic and getting home, and I had a lot of work this afternoon. Thank you for joining me in spite of me being a little hour later than I usually am. And I look forward to you joining me on my Periscope Challenge, my 5-day Emerging Writer Challenge. And you can also join my Facebook group, Periscope with Sandy Peckinpah. Just, ask to join. I'll put you in there. Hot tea time. Yes. That's what I'm going to have right after this. Facebook group is Periscope with Sandy Peckinpah. You know what? Sometimes it feels like it doesn't rain here ever, but I can tell you my backyard has a little flooding because a lot of rain came down, and my pool is completely full and overflowing, because when it rains, it usually rains in cloudbursts, and it's so beautiful. And all of us in Southern California, we celebrate the rain. It is, you know what? When I hear rain in the middle of the night, I wake up so I can listen to it, because I don't want to sleep through rain. That's how much we treasure rain here in Southern California. And so it's supposed to actually rain all week. I'm so excited. And this spring, our flowers are going to be glorious. And this is the last rose from my rose garden before they got cut back, right here. Isn't it pretty? And so I can't wait to see what the spring is going to bring. So yeah, puddle jumping, woohoo! I've got big puddles in my backyard. Thank you for joining me. You are awesome. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.